Hello, and welcome to episode 74 of Anime Territory. I am your host this week, Benjamin Shabbing, and with me as always is my co-host, Johnny Ikebukuro Ruha.
Okay. Drink? Do I have to drink now? Somebody said Ikebukuro. They really hit the saying Ikebukuro like 20 times an episode. Okay. Like the first couple of episodes. Then it really drops off. Picks up a little bit again at the end.
Yeah. There's a dip towards the middle.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, man, they just keep saying Ikebukuro.
It's like, I get it. We're at Ikebukuro.
I guess I'll take another drink of water. I guess we're plebs.
Also, that's all we have. It's like 9 o'clock. Why are we drinking anything else?
Yeah, I gotta work in the morning.
Yeah. Today we will be discussing Durarara, Season 1. Also known as Durr.
Durr. That's D-triple-R for those wanting to make substance out of this.
Okay.
What we're saying.
Let's go right into impressions, I guess.
Okay. Well, I like it. I think it meanders a bit towards the end. There's just a lot of, we gotta go do something. Kind of pussyfooting around here. Nice. I say pussyfoot for a specific reason.
I got it.
And then, there's some really cool stuff. There's some really good, this is this author that the novels that this show is based off of, Ryogo Narita. He always does an ensemble cast. And that has strengths and it has weaknesses.
Yes.
So I feel like some of the weakness, at least of this show, for the ensemble cast is our main characters. I would say we have 3 main characters that are set up as these are our protagonists.
Okay.
And then everybody else is just sort of part of their story.
Add a 4th or a 5th.
We can talk about it when we get to characters. And it's just they just don't get... We're supposed to believe that they have this great friendship, and we just don't get a lot of it in the middle and at the end of the show, because they're all sort of off doing their own thing. And
that's the thing, is they're supposed to be friends, but they're never together.
Yeah,
they're all doing their own thing, as you said. So it's just
so it's just okay, I get that I'm just supposed to buy that, whatever, and maybe it's better in the light novels, or maybe there's just stuff we're not seeing of them hanging out every day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just okay, they just, I don't necessarily believe that these 2 characters mean that much to this 3rd character, because I don't get to see them interact very often anymore. And when I do get to see them interact, it's almost always the same interaction. Character A hits on character B. Character C says, "Why are you hitting on character B? You're making things awkward." And character B is just "All right, I'm here."
Yeah.
Which did not anything against those characters. I think they shine in other areas when they're not together. But that's their dynamic when they are together. And it's just we don't get to see, how great this friendship really is. And I get that part of the message of this show is that these 3 characters really need to learn to open up to each other and not just keep their problems to themselves. Why don't, that's something that all 3 of them, it's sort of they went in a circle.
That's also none of this probably would have happened if you guys were just honest with each other.
It's oh yeah, I have this secret. It's kind of a big deal. But it's they would have been okay, well, that's fine. Why don't you, now that I know the secret, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess we can get a little bit more in spoiler talks on that. But, which I guess we'll just, when we're talking characters, because I don't think we necessarily want to do episode by episode.
No, we're not doing episode by episode.
We might kind of talk about each arc.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to talk about characters, and we'll just go into spoilers at that point. But, I think, and we should note, I've seen part of season 2 when it was originally airing a long time ago, and I fell off and never finished it. Kind of intrigued to go watch it now. We're not going to cover it on the show, I don't
No.
think. So this is all just the first 24 episodes, our impressions of these characters.
Yes.
In this story. And I think it has a lot of potential. Which is why I want to watch season 2.
Okay.
But I think, especially since we watched the dub, some of it just feels very 2010, 2011, which is around when it came out. And I don't know. The side characters definitely shine more than the main characters. But I also think, it's possible that they shine because we get
not a lot of
them. So when we see them, we're excited to see them do their thing. If they were doing their thing 24/7, it might get tiring.
Okay.
That's sort of my spoiler-free impressions, which maybe there's a little bit of like not specific spoilers, but vague spoilers in there.
Okay. What's your ranking?
I'll give it a 7.
Okay. I basically agree with you. It's a 7. Main characters are okay. That's kind of the detriment for me, is that the characters you have the most time with just are kind of boring to me. I don't really care. Give me Shizuo all the day.
Yes, very much so. Or even the van.
Yeah, the van gang
is great. There's 3 out of 4 of them are great. One of them is just like, he just drives the van and gets mad sometimes. But when he does get mad, I don't know, he doesn't shine as much, I would say, which is Saburo, the driver.
Yes.
He's the one that doesn't stand out as much. But I think that's because the other 3 just stand out too much. Or so much. But I just I don't know, do I want an anime that follows the van gang? Maybe. That'd be interesting. But also, I just don't know. It's like, maybe I'd get tired of their shtick.
Yeah. I give it a 7. Kind of meanders.
So let's talk, because we've now seen this guy has got 4 of his works that are sort of adapted into animes that we know of. If we're wrong, please correct us. But he did Baccano, which we've covered on the show.
Yes.
He's done Durarara, which we're covering now on the show.
Yes.
He's done Dead Mount Death Play, which we might have done in a fall or spring. We briefly talked about it in one of those. But we've seen all of that now. And then he also did Fate Strange Fake, which has an OVA out that we've watched.
Yes.
Which I think we might have also talked about that briefly too.
Yes.
So we're going to just, for tentatively, rank those shows for what we've seen. So what do you have coming in as your 4th favorite of those 4?
We're doing strictly anime.
Strictly anime.
Okay. I didn't know we were doing Fate Strange Fake, so give me just 1 second.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and say my number 4 is Fate Strange Fake. If only because it's only the one OVA and I barely remember it, so it must not have left that big of an impression on me. And it's just I can't rank a whole show lower than an OVA unless that OVA is really fucking good.
Yes.
So I think I got to put it at number 4.
I agree. It is number 4 for basing it just on the anime.
Fate Strange Fake, another ensemble cast. 14 characters.
At least 14.
At least.
Never mind.
It's all Fate shows is at least 14 characters. Number 3, and maybe this will change, but number 3 I'm putting Durarara.
Okay.
I think I'm putting it last. Maybe that'll change with season 2. Maybe that's just it showing its age a little bit. I think there are moments in Durarara that shine better than Dead Mount Death Play. But I think Dead Mount Death Play is consistently, I was more let's, each episode was more fun, I think. Gotcha. Or more I want to keep watching. Whereas, like I said, Durarara is just sort of it just sort of meanders.
Okay.
Was there much that happened in this episode? Not really.
Okay. I would say the argument is that it might be a little meandering, but it's still like telling you something. Like it's still a story. It just might not mean that much.
Yeah, it's not like it's not an episode of Dragon Ball where nothing fucking happens. Yeah. It's not that type of meandering. It's just like
we get the first half, like first 12 episodes. There's a lot of just like episodic. Hey, this is this character, and this is his or her.
Yeah, we get a lot of narration from characters. It's like, oh, this episode is being narrated by Simon, who speaks in a Russian accent normally, but when he's doing his own narration, it's in like perfect coherent English because they're more translating what his thoughts are in Russian, which are more coherent.
I like the first half a little bit more than the second half.
I think that is correct.
Okay.
But I think there's moments in the second half that I really like. Because the
second half is kind of just two arcs.
Yes.
Unless I'm missing a third. It's the slasher
and the yellow scarves. Yeah. Basically. There might be little like sub arcs there, but that's what you're dealing with. Like, okay, we have to deal with the slasher. And I mean, the yellow scarves are sort of always there, but they weren't really like, we have to deal with them now, sort of thing. It's like, we're dealing with the slasher. It's like, what are the Van Gang doing? Well, the Van Gang in the first half are doing some little things. And
they'll do that thing where it's like, they're telling like Shizuo's story, and then during that story, you get a glimpse of the Van Gang. And they're like, oh, it's those guys. Then the next episode will tell you what they were doing while that was happening.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more like, hey, we have all these individual... The first half, we have all these individual stories, and it kind of comes to a head... We're just well into spoilers now, right?
Sure.
It kind of comes to a head of like, okay, Mikado runs into these two characters, Mika Harima and Seiji... Is it Awakusa?
No. You talking about the high schooler?
Yeah.
It's Seiji Agiri.
Igiri. Okay. I don't know where Awakusa is. That might be an adult mafia organization.
I think that's season 2.
Okay.
Because I was looking up the characters list. There's a lot of those guys, but I have no idea who they were.
They mentioned the name Awakusa when, at the end of the show, when they're like, what is this like shipment for chocolate? And it's like, oh yeah, that's a handgun from the Awakusa or something like that. Anyway... it kind of comes to a head of, okay, this, we're trying to save this girl who's, I'm trying to think what exactly happens at the end of the first half. Mikado is going up against the medical corporation.
Yes.
Because they're trying to get Mika Harima and Seiji like back under their control or something. Why do they want Mikado? He knows something.
Do they want Mikado, or
they know somebody knows that human trafficking is going on by the medical corporation, and I think they're trying to silence Mikado.
Okay.
And they're like, we got you surrounded, and he's like, oh yeah, well, I started this gang that you've been hearing about that nobody knows anything about. I'm the mysterious leader of the Dog, which I think was set up really well.
Yeah, dude, that moment, the reveal is really good.
And it's like, oh yeah, and like, I just sent a message to all of our members, and everybody checking their phone right now, which is hundreds of people in this square are here with me. So it's like that was great, including which we never finished. We never finished our ranking.
All right,
2 is Dead Mount Death Play. 1 is Baccano.
Okay, I have Dead Mount Death Play 3, Durarara 2, Baccano 1.
Okay, which I kind of figured you would do that.
Dead Mount Death Play's too much.
It's too much for you.
It's too much for me.
Okay,
too many characters. Too much. The problem with that is adding like fantasy shit. I'm just like, you're adding 2 elements. I can't do it.
Well, fantasy shit is more... There's fantasy shit in Durarara.
I guess.
And there's fantasy shit in Baccano. But there's a lot less fantasy shit. It's more just like... Okay, Baccano, it's like, okay, here's one thing. The mortals exist.
Yes.
That's a thing, all right?
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll have some spin-off on that. Okay.
Yeah.
That now it's just these
Durarara.
characters. Durarara, it's like...
There's Abdullah hand. She's missing a head. That's about it.
And Shizuo has super strength.
Yes.
That
somehow has super strength.
And maybe Simon does too. Anyway.
Don't know. Anyways, that's about it. Everything else is completely normal.
Whereas Dead Mount Deathplay is like,
he's a necromancer from another world. He makes zombies and vampires. It's whatever.
There's
too much.
There's somebody that's
Who's
hypnotized people to be programmed into being arsonists.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. There's too much.
I like it. I like the too much.
Okay.
I like that they just keep adding stuff.
It's like, who's this guy? We have 2 episodes left. Why are you introducing this guy?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only part where it's just like, there's a lot of good
like,
build
who's that
up.
guy? What clan is he from?
There's a lot of good build up, and I feel like the payoff of Dead Mount Deathplay wasn't quite... It wasn't enough for the build up that they had.
No. It's almost that feeling where like, oh shit, we got 1 episode left.
All right. And this happens. Okay.
Okay.
This guy shows up. All right.
Cool. Who is he?
He's the Emperor?
Okay. Oh, he's gone now. What the fuck?
He's a goat. He was a ghost? Okay. He could choose to show up himself as a ghost in this other world? All right.
Whatever.
Whatever, man. Anyway.
Okay, so that was our rankings.
So I wanted to say, in that moment, when all those dollars are showing up, we see Isaac and Miria from Baccano, which is... They're not voiced by the same people, which is a shame. But it is good to see them again. It's like they're still alive and wandering around in 2009, 60 years after Baccano. Not even knowing, probably haven't realized yet that they are eternally young and immortal.
They probably know by now, right?
There's a scene at the end of Baccano where it's just like it flashes forward to several years in the future to about this time, and they're walking around and they're like, huh, we haven't really aged.
Okay.
So I don't know how much they've realized. Anyway, Baccano number 1. We both agree on that.
Yes.
I think it does the best job of having an ensemble cast where you can keep everybody sort of straight, and it's not...
The only kind of confusing thing is the timeline, but once you get that, you kind of...
Yeah,
everything's good.
Once you realize that it's not like... The very first episode shows stuff from all around the timeline, and that's confusing. But then once you settle into it, it's just like, okay, we're just flashing to these like 3 or 4 different timelines.
Yes.
But you're seeing them in chronological order. You're seeing that timeline in chronological order for the most part. So,
I just think they have cooler characters too, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. Isaac and Miria, I think, are the best characters in any of these 4 shows.
It's Lad Russo.
Lad Russo's pretty high up there. But then I would say Shizuo Heiwajima is pretty high up there too.
That is true.
I would say that the Van Gang as a whole are pretty high up there. Okay. I would say specifically Kyohei Kadota, or Dodajin, is... I don't know if it's just because he's voiced by Steve Bloom, but I'd put him pretty high up even without the rest of the Van Gang.
Alright, before we go any further, I had an idea. We might just do it now. Give me your top 5 characters from Durarara.
Do I have to have them in a specific order?
No, just give me your 5 favorite.
Shizuo Heiwajima.
Okay.
Kyohei Kadota.
Okay.
Walker.
Okay.
Erica.
Okay.
So that's 4 so far.
Okay.
I guess Celti would be 5.
We do Celti?
I think so.
Okay.
Who are your top 5?
My top 5 in no particular order. Celti. Shizuo. Kohei. Dodajin. And I put Simon.
Okay. Simon's just not in the show enough, I think.
That's true.
I really like when Simon shows up.
I just like Simon. He just shows up. He's like, Russian sushi.
Russian sushi.
Okay, my last one's kind of a bold pick, but I think you need him for this show to work, and it's Izaya.
Yeah, see, I was on the cusp about Izaya because I'm like, I love to hate him.
Yes.
He's so hateable.
Yes, but I like him.
Can I tell you my headcanon for Shizuo and Izaya?
Sure.
So they, in the show, absolutely hate each other.
Yes. Despise each other.
Which Erica thinks is because they're in love.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah.
Okay, there's something there. I get why she sees that. But it's more hate than, it's more loathe than love between them. Now, they're voiced in the dub, because we watched the dub, they're voiced by Crispin Freeman and Johnny Young Bosch.
Yes.
Now, there's another show where there is a bit of a antagonistic isn't the right word, but one of the characters is constantly is a little frustrated with the other character.
Okay.
And it's voiced in the dub by the same two characters.
Okay.
And that would, of course, be the melancholy Haruhi Suzumiya.
Okay. Figure that's where you're going with.
Kyon is voiced by Crispin Freeman, and oh my god, my brain is blanking.
Oh my
Johnny
God.
Young Bosch voices Koizumi.
Koizumi. Okay. I don't think I ever realized that. I never put that together.
So now in that show, it's more like Koizumi plays innocent, which is a little bit what Izaya does at times, plays innocent. And is really like pushing Kyon towards like admitting feelings for Haruhi is what he...
Yeah.
And Kyon is not happy about that. And also, Kyon is a little frustrated with having a somebody he thinks is more handsome than him around when like Mikaru is around there. Asahina. So there's just a little bit of an antagonistic relationship. Not quite to the same extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near the same extreme.
No.
But what would the world be like if Haruhi didn't exist to bring the two of them together? And that's what I think this world is.
Nah, I think you're crazy. I think you're stupid.
I think Kyon would get super strength and give in to his anger more. Because Kyon is kind of angry.
Okay.
And I think he would have a more antagonistic relationship with Koizumi.
Okay.
If there wasn't this shared problem they had to deal with, that is the walking hurricane that is Haruhi Suzumiya.
Koizumi's an Esper, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what does an Esper do again?
In the Haruhi show, it means he can enter closed space and he can like fly around and shoot laser orbs.
Okay.
When he's in closed space.
Okay.
That's it.
So nothing.
And they're also part of a top secret organization.
Okay.
Which you could kind of see that angle with Izaya.
Okay, what does Espers usually mean? If
It means they have ESP.
Okay, which is
extrasensory perception.
Okay.
So telekinesis, telepathy.
Okay. That's what I was going at. Because like Izaya gives off that vibe a little bit because he knows everything. So it's like you kind of see that. But,
yeah. Yeah.
But no, you're still stupid.
Anyway, I just like imagining that they're Kyon and Koizumi in an alternate world. That's my thought process there. I wanted to draw that parallel, if nothing else.
Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about characters, specifically the main ones.
Okay. So we would agree that there are three main characters.
At least three.
And you would say that Izaya sort of counts as a fourth main character because he's sort of the main antagonist.
Yes.
Even if he's not always making antagonistic actions.
He's kind of what's driving the strings. He's pulling the plot.
Yeah. He is manipulating people in a way to kind of pit them against each other.
Yes.
And is ultimately the ultimate scumbag.
Yes.
Like, Shizuo is right to hate Izaya.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So our three main protagonists.
Yes. We'll start with Mikado.
Mikado Ryuganame.
Yes.
He is from out in the sticks, the boonies, basically.
Sure.
His best friend moved to Ikebukuro, several years ago. He's been chatting with him on the internet. He decides, I'm going to go to school, high school in Ikebukuro.
Looking for a more exciting life.
Now, in the meantime, we don't get this right away, but in the meantime, in between when his friend left and when he started high school, he kind of started a fake gang. It's like, what if we just spread rumors about a gang called the Dollars, just to see like
what would happen?
What would happen? There's I hear about all these gangs running around. What if we said there was another gang, but we weren't actually a gang?
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns sort of into an actual gang. People tell stories about it. They don't have any rules for joining, and they quickly get a bunch of people to join, which we learn is actually Isaiah's manipulation there of getting more people to join. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like we're an organization, but all that really means is we have access to this chat room.
It's like Facebook.
And then we can do whatever, there's no leadership.
Yeah.
We're not taking orders. So that means, it's good and bad.
Yes.
Good in that, it's all about freedom, and bad in that some people, when they have freedom, will choose to do terrible things.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to say about him?
He also befriends Anri Sonohara.
Yes.
Who's kind of a quiet girl, and they're both like class
quiet
reps.
And timid.
Yes. So those are our three characters.
Shit.
Mikado.
What are her three characteristics? She's wearing a Raida Academy.
She's wearing a Raida Academy uniform. She's got glasses and big boobs. Those are her three identifying. When multiple characters heard that description, they're like, they must be talking about Anri. Who else could they be talking about?
Sorry, I had to bring that up.
His other friend his best friend from way back, who's now going to the same academy as him. His name is Masaomi Kita. We'll get to him later.
Okay.
But he started this organization of the Dollars. He hasn't really necessarily been like he can message people as the
I guess
the creator of it, because when he uses the admin account, that's what he does. But most of the time, when he's commenting in there, he's not commenting as the creator, because he doesn't necessarily want to influence people and tell them what to do.
Correct. That's not the point of the Dollars.
Nope. And then he has a crush on Anri.
Yep.
And he is annoyed but still loves Masaomi Kita, his best friend.
Yeah.
Because Masaomi Kita has a very annoying personality.
Yes.
He is voiced by Bryce Poppenbrook, who I am not the biggest fan of. I don't have anything against the man personally.
I think you do.
I don't know anything about the man personally.
I still think you have. I still think you do.
I've taken this unlike of him to levels that I shouldn't.
I think he wronged you in another life.
All I know is he's got this real annoying voice, which is perfect for Masaomi Kita. Great casting.
Okay.
Maybe I can see that working for one of his other characters, the main character of Sword Art Online, Kirito. Because Kirito is just sort of like a fucking teenager that loves video games. Like, okay, even if he's a badass in this video game, in real life he can be an annoying fucking teen. Fine. Mm-hmm. Well, that works. Then they make him Eren Yeager. They also make him a devil, the main character of, what is that? It's not just called Blue Devil, is it? What is that anime called?
Blue Exorcist?
Blue Exorcist.
Okay.
It's like, oh yeah, he's playing this like demon teenager.
Table really into that show?
Yeah, Table is really into that show. I've seen the show. I've seen at least the first season.
A little bit of it at your house. I'm pretty sure when Table is there, so it's like whatever.
So it's just like, this guy's all over the place, and he keeps getting these main character roles that I just don't feel like are right for him. And that's where my distaste, like, oh, they got Bryce Poppenbrook again to be in this show. And that's where my distaste came. You can do and then I kind of took it to extreme levels there for a few years. Okay. Of me being like, man, fuck that Poppendoodle guy.
Yeah.
But I just wanted on the record that I have nothing against him personally in this life.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, he just gets on my nerves.
Okay.
He's perfect as Masaomi Kita, who, when he was in middle school in Ikebukuro, started the gang, the Yellow Scarves. Something traumatic happened to a girl that he liked back then, and he kind of abandoned the gang, and they've since gotten out of his control.
Yes.
And they're all over the place. They were in this big fight with the Blue Scarves, which is who we learn broke his girlfriend's leg in several places, and
she's been in hospital for a year.
Yeah, I think she might have had internal bleeding and some other complications from that, because they're like, she'll live. She's not bleeding. I'm like, oh, you can bleed internally.
Yeah.
And she passed out, which might have just been from pain, but it's just okay. Anyway, you just got to believe.
She has 2 casts on both legs.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point she broke both her legs.
Yeah. Well, I think they were threatening to do that anyway. So,
not important. Go ahead.
Not important. That girl's name is Saki. We'll just go ahead and say that's that character. The other, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, the other traits about Masaomi Kita. He's always hitting on girls.
Yep.
I think to sort of try to distance himself from this girl that he liked.
Yes.
Because he couldn't save her, and he froze up when he went to go find her instead of charging in there. So he's just we're done. See, look, I'm into all these other girls. And she's just nah, you'll come back to me. You don't care about them as much. So he's always hitting girls, including Henri, which is when we talked about earlier, their dynamic is Masaomi calls Henri boobylicious.
A lot.
Mikado is quit calling her that. And Henri is just I'm here. I acknowledge that he's said something.
Masaomi would be what, you don't agree? And he's well, yeah, but still, it's not appropriate.
Henri, like you said, very shy and timid. We don't really see much about her other than she kind of thinks of herself like a parasite. She was friends with this girl, Mika Haruna, who was a stalker for Seiji.
Correct.
But then all of a sudden she went missing.
Yes.
Then, at the start of this year, she
That's
was
the first main arc, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we learn that Seiji. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to. I can't talk about Seiji and Mika right now. But she thinks of herself like a parasite because she was kind of using her to be see, look, I've got a friend. Okay. And Mika Haruno was kind of using her to be hey, look, I'm more cute and beautiful than my shy, timid friend here, sort of thing. They were both using each other, and they were both okay with the other person using them. Yes. Is what their friendship was sort of based on.
Symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm. Then, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, so that's sort of her thing in the first arc is, oh yeah, that's my friend. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of how I approach the world of, it's okay that I'm a parasite because I'm fine with that part of my life. I don't feel angry when people call me that because that's true. I'm intentionally doing it. Mm-hmm. Though we learn, there's been hints. It's not very big deal, but in the beginning, there's hints of there's this thing called the Slasher. Yes. It attacks a character named Celti at one point.
Correct.
Then we deal with, the first arc of the second half of the season is
okay.
Henri sort of has a run-in. First of all, there's this creepy teacher that keeps hitting on her.
Oh yeah, dirtbag teacher.
Then she has a run-in with a girl that teacher was sort of hitting on before, but that girl turned into a stalker. And he was freaked out by her and had her transferred. But she runs into her and she's just hey, I'm the slasher. I have this magical knife that when I cut people with it, they basically obey my commands because this knife is trying to love all the humans in the world. And it's sort of this parasite thing. So magical sword. Or I should say knife at this point. And
that is the first half. Second half is more people trying to figure out who the slasher is and what we already know.
Yes.
Got it.
That teacher shows up at Henri's house when that girl is there, which kind of like saves her because now the girl is like, "Oh, you're here! I knew you'd come for me," or something like that.
Well, not really, because 3 other people walk in as she leaves.
Yeah. Anyway. So we learn, okay, this girl's the slasher. We had kind of heard her name before. Masaomi has been kind of protecting Henri from this teacher by calling him out on being pervy and saying whatever happened to that one girl that you were pervy with. So that girl is obsessed. We then learn that the magical knife that she has that she can infect other people with is not the original Psyche, not the original magical blade. It is a child of the original magical blade. Which you basically, when you cut somebody with this...
Mommy blade and a daddy blade.
Nope, just a mommy blade.
Ooh, just a mommy blade.
When a mommy blade cuts a person to love them, because that's its only way of expressing that a sword can express itself is with cuts.
Yes.
It then infects the host, and they then just basically pick up a knife and can do the same thing.
Yes.
But they are subservient to whoever
the original.
Them.
Yeah. I guess.
Now, we learn that the reason Henri is so shy and timid is because her father was abusive.
Yes.
Her mother killed him with
Psyche.
With Psyche, the original sword.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe killed herself too.
I think it was suicide.
Or maybe Henri got the sword and killed her. It's not clear.
No, it definitely wasn't her. I think it was either suicide or the blade made her do it or something. I don't know.
But anyway, so Henri then took the original sword after her mother's death, and I guess can just like have it be part of her flesh because we see it. Yeah. I don't think they ever explain it, but we see it come out of her hand partially at one point.
Her timidness is kind of a pact between her and the sword, where the sword kind of feels for her or something.
I'll get into this in just a moment.
All right.
So
speed it up.
So Psyche basically wants to love all humans, and it expresses that love through cutting. Okay. And whoever wields it kind of becomes obsessed with following Psyche's commands of loving people by cutting them. Okay. Henri is very traumatized and thinks that she does not feel love anymore. Okay. Thinks she does not feel love. And because she does not feel love, she can wield Psyche without it controlling her actions. Got it. And she says, since I don't feel love, Psyche will do all the loving for me. She thinks that's their arrangement. Cool. Though I think at the end, it's kind of pointed out by Isaiah that she does care about people, because when he points a gun at somebody, he's like, why would you care if you have no love, sort of thing. So I think it's more just it's very hard for her to feel the emotion known as love, so she can resist Psyche, and Psyche's powers don't rely on her whatsoever.
To psychic power.
To Psyche power.
All right. So those are our three main characters.
Yes. So they kind of set themselves up as, okay, through the show, there's really sort of three factions at the end of this first arc of the second half, where it's like, okay, we have the Yellow Scarves, who we've been hearing about this whole time, and we just recently learned that Masaomi is kind of taking back. Yeah. Henri was in the hospital because she was attacked by that other girl, and they said it was the slasher. So he's kind of like, fuck the slasher, we gotta find her. I'm taking my place back as leader of the Yellow Scarves. Yeah. They've been trying to get me to come back. Well, guess what? I'm thinking I'm back. So he takes control of the Yellow Scarves. Now that Henri has revealed she has the original Psyche, to stop this other girl from causing chaos, she's able to cut her, and then okay, now you're under my control, and all the blades that you've been creating this time are under my control as well. Yeah. So we have this sort of shadow organization of people that are controlled by Psyche blades. Correct. And for the most part, she just lets them live their lives, but every once in a while she's like, "Hey, if you're under my control and in the Yellow Scarves, come talk to me, and I'm going to tell you if the Yellow Scarves attack people to attack the Yellow Scarves. Stop your friends there,
or to live a nice life.
Go live a nice life." And then we have Mikado, who is the again, another sort of shadow organization of
The dollars.
The yellow scarves, they all wear colors.
Yeah.
So
the yellow scarves think that the slasher is part of the dollar, so they're trying to find the dollars to get to the slasher.
The dollars are sort of like, why the fuck do the yellow scarves keep beating the shit out of us? We gotta stop them from attacking people. They don't like the slasher either, but they're also just like, there's no way the slasher is part of the dollars.
Yeah.
What are you gonna call it? Dollars, slashers. Yeah, anyway, so they're all just sort of being drawn to being against each other. The yellow scarves are trying to stop the dollar, or trying to find the slasher, and they blame the dollars for hiding her.
Correct.
The slasher is just trying to get people to stop being so violent.
Yeah.
Now is what they're doing.
This is like the last arc.
Yeah.
So this is like, yeah.
And then the dollars are just like, we gotta like stop the yellow scarves from. They're hunting us down.
Yeah, basically, they're
something.
just like, hey, we're getting our asses kicked. What are we doing? Where's our leader?
We need to be more organized so that we can. And they have like this whole thing where the yellow scarves are going after Henri, and like the chat board's like, hey, I just saw a bunch of yellow scarves surround some poor girl. We should go save her.
She's
and they
wearing
have this
a
really cool. She's wearing a Ryogo uniform.
Has glasses.
She's got glasses
and
and
huge tits.
So they have this fun sequence where she's trying to run away from some of the yellow scarves, and they are, they just keep getting tripped up by people in the dollars. Mm-hmm. And we just learn some people. It's like, oh, okay, that guy that the Van Gang rescued from
Chris Pratt.
the guy who has a fake Italian accent, a bad Italian accent.
Yeah.
He's part of the dollars. Cool. That Russian girl that we met once before, she's part of the dollars. We already knew the Van Gang was part of the dollars. We should note that there really is a shadow fourth faction, which is the Blue Squares have really, after their big fight, they sort of stopped being the Blue Squares and slowly infiltrated the Yellow Scarves.
Correct.
And, a character, Harada, who's been intentionally defying Masaomi's orders to go beat up people in the dollars, and kind of stages a coup, and beats up everybody that was loyal to him, basically. Yeah. But doesn't realize at the very end that the Kyohei Kadota, the leader of the Van Gang and a very active dollars member, I should say. She's like, yeah, I got like 40 of the dollars to just put on yellow and pretend to be yellow scarves so that we could stop this coup from happening. So that's what happens in the show. Yeah. I'm going to talk about some of the characters a little bit.
Let's talk about Celti, because she's kind of a big part.
Yeah, Celti is a big character, and we not mentioned her whatsoever.
Correct.
So Celti, known as the Black Rider,
correct,
is a Doulahan from Ireland
who lost her head and can't.
Somebody stole her head, and she's lost some of her memories. She's been alive for hundreds of years. She's living with this scientist guy who, as a little kid, him and his dad helped smuggle her to Japan, and she was tracking her head down. Turns out that scientist guy's dad is the one who stole the head to begin with.
Yes.
But that's not the scientist guy's fault. He was a little kid.
He did hide the fact that she knew who had her head. Yes,
but he didn't know it when he was a kid. He knew that. Okay. He figured it out eventually.
Got it.
And just sort of hid the fact. He's not the most non-sketchy of people.
I mean, he's an undergrad doctor.
Yeah. He is desperately in love with her, though, too, and is turned on by the fact that she doesn't have a head. and thinks she's perfect without it.
Only comment on that is, I get it.
It's a little odd, but
it's fine.
Anyway, she's basically immortal. She gets cut at one point by the slasher. Henri cuts her because she was kind of returning a favor of that pervy teacher, like pulled strings that she'd get put in the same class as her friend Mika. And she's like, that was me stopping you from being beaten up by the Black Rider is me repaying you. Which is, that's really the only action of the slasher we see in the first half of the show.
Basically.
We might, hear some other, hear the slasher attacked again, or, But that might have also just been internet rumors of there was an attack, let's blame the slasher. Just like there's a bunch of internet rumors, there was an attack, let's blame the dollars. But yeah, so she lives with him. She kind of works at odd jobs as a courier, so she'll just go in and rescue people or transporter is I guess the word I'm looking for.
Jason Statham.
She'll give people rides places, or she will deliver packages and kind of take shady jobs on the side. And I would say likes the scientist man. At the end of the show, very much, it's okay, I like him. Not nearly as much as he likes me.
Correct.
Or I'm more reserved in my appreciation. Which I was like, you're hundreds of years old. You knew him as a child. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
It. I get being attracted to you. I don't get you being attracted to him.
Yeah.
Is I guess the question. What's the next word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, so she sometimes takes jobs from Izaya, though she doesn't necessarily like him per se, but he pays her, so whatever. She is part of the dollars. She is part of the chat room, which is, I don't know if we're ever explicitly told exactly who everyone in the chat room is, but
we know.
We know.
Yeah.
It's just the chat room, we just, all of a sudden, people will be reacting to events that happen around town. And we don't they don't use their real names, but it's all characters we know. Because the chat room is Baccano, who uses the name Taro Tanaka.
Yes.
There is Celti, who I don't remember what name she uses. Seton. There is Izaya.
Yes.
Who uses, what does he use?
Conra.
And then eventually they get the spirit of Psycha, the sword, is a spam troll bot that's in the chat that they can't seem to get rid of. Which Conra says he tries to get rid of. I think he might be lying.
Probably.
I think he might be I tried to remove her, but she keeps coming back.
But that's Henri.
But that eventually comes in. Henri gets control of it. Mm-hmm. And then eventually at the very end, Masaomi joins too. Yep. And I don't remember what name he uses. Bakura. So they're part of that chat room of friends,
I guess. Acquaintances.
But she's part of the dollars as well. When they have the big, she's searching for her head. That shady medical group that's after Mikado has her head, and she kind of is able to track it there, but then loses it once they get bought out by somebody else. Because Izaya has it at the end. Yeah. He kind of takes it on. Which will take me to Seiji now, I guess.
Okay.
Just real quick dip into Seiji. So this medical group has had this head for a long time. His dad or uncle or something has had this head for a long time.
I think his uncle.
Yeah. His sister, who is now a higher up in this medical company.
Nami.
She's the one person whose name I couldn't remember. She loves her little brother to a disgusting intent. He is in love with that severed head.
Yes.
It has been since he was a kid.
All I will say is, I get
it. Mika Harina breaks into his apartment one day and sees the head, the severed head. And so he beats her on the head with a bat or a pipe or something.
Thinks he kills her.
He's I think I killed somebody. He says, can you fix this for me? And she's like, yep, anything for you. And then she decides, for whatever reason, to help Mikaharuna out and be like, we're going to give you plastic surgery so it looks like we've sewn the head on top of you to make my brother happy because he wants to, like...
Be with the head.
Be with the head as a person. So you can go ahead and pretend to be Celti. Mm-hmm. And then...
she gets figured out.
Yeah, she gets figured out, which is part of that first arc.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I'm actually this girl. And Seiji's just like, well, I'm still really fucking attracted to you, but I'm not in love with you, so we'll just have this fake love relationship. And she's like, I'm fine with that. So it's a little toxic. They could both do better.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he could, but...
Yeah. Anyway. Going back to Celti, she sort of befriends Mikado. She knows he's the leader of the dollars. Mm-hmm. She has been dealing with, I want to find my head this whole time. Her scientist friend, Shinra, has been like, you don't need a head. You're perfect the way you are.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's just like, you can make new memories here. Mm-hmm. And so eventually she's just, and when they have that dollar confrontation with the medical group, she is a big part of that. She's just like, fuck it. I'm going to stamp myself into the legend of this city so I won't fade into myth or whatever. Yeah. So she has this whole big scene and scares them off. She can make like a shadow scythe, which just knocks people out. It doesn't kill them. But that's her big like conclusion in season 1. Mm-hmm. She quickly gets like confronted by
the cops,
motorcycle cops that aren't like crooked, but they're bad cops. They're just like, don't fuck with the cops. And she's like, all right, I'm scared of the police now, which is something that comes up at the very end, I guess.
The very beginning and like the very end.
Yeah. What else does she do in the show?
That's about it.
She sort of saves Henri from the Yellow Scarves because Henri is following, or she's trying to like figure out more about the Yellow Scarves. She's been asking her children about them.
Well, I think it's more she's worried about Mas.
Does she follow Masaomi, or is she following the lead of the Yellow Scarves?
She's following Masaomi.
Okay, so she follows him, and she's like, "Oh fuck, he's in the Yellow Scarves."
Yeah.
Oh fuck, they saw me.
Yeah.
But Celti comes and saves her. Celti knows she's the slasher as well at this point.
Yes.
I think Celti was there to help with the slasher incident because she gives. At one point the mind of the slasher is just like, we need to recruit Shizuo Heiwajima to help us love humans faster because he's such a powerful example. So there's just a fun fight scene where Shizuo is just fighting a horde of people that are all slashers.
So good.
And Celti gives them some gloves. It's like, yeah, this won't be cut by a sword because they're made of the same material as my scythe.
Cool.
She's sort of at the end. She's part of why the Yellow Scarves think the slasher is with the dollars, because it's rumored she's with the dollars because of that big scene she made. And it's what are you gonna call it? She shows up to save Henri from the Yellow Scarves hideout, and they see Henri with a sword, and they're like, chick with a sword that was spying on the Yellow Scarves must be the slasher. She's with the Black Rider, must be with the dollars.
Oh, okay.
And Masaomi figures out that it was Henri at one point. I don't remember how. That Henri was the slasher. And then he's just like, nope, don't. He also finds out that Mikado is the leader of the dollars from Izaya. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, don't go against the dollars. Just back off until you have proof.
Yeah.
You know, because I know you're drawing a bunch of conclusions, because I drew the same conclusions, but, you know, don't do anything. And they're just like, yeah, fuck it, we're going to go do it. Okay. We're actually the Blue Squares. We've been taking over your organization because you've not been paying attention. So Celti's in that final confrontation against the Yellow Scarf / Blue Squares. Yeah, I mean that's what she does in the show.
Okay.
She's just a force of nature to be reckoned with, which is kind of how some of these side characters are. Like, specifically Shizuo is just a natural disaster you just need to avoid. But you can't always avoid him.
Okay. Is there anybody else you want to talk about?
We should mention that Shizuo has super strength.
Yeah.
And is consistently throwing vending machines or ripping up street signs.
I think he ripped up a guardrail at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hitting people with them.
Is it? He had it since he was a kid. As a kid, it would like hurt him severely. But now he's like reached the point where it just doesn't affect him anymore, I think.
Yeah, at one point, Harada shoots Shizuo twice. Oh. And Shizuo was like, I thought I just slipped in the rain. And I had trouble getting up. And by the time I got up, they had ran away. And then I realized all this blood was mine. Can you come fix me up top? It's like, you, sir, are insane.
He has the pliers in his leg.
I love him. You just don't want to piss him off.
He's MVP. He's best girl.
Yeah, he's best girl, for sure. Izaya is just, again, he's manipulating everything from the shadows. He thinks Celti is not just a Doulahan, but that Doulahans are Valkyries. Yeah. And he wants to go to Valhalla, but he needs a war to do that, which is why he's setting up all these events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just behind everything.
Yeah.
Something's going on in Ikebukuro.
Yeah, he is manipulating things. Shizuo, he's just always... I don't think there was ever, like, a specific incident that made Shizuo hate him.
No, I think just like, they like went to high school together. I think he saw him. He's like, I hate that guy.
That guy rubs me the wrong way. That guy is... Izaya Orihara is to Shizuo as Bryce Poppenbrook is to me. This guy just rubs me the wrong way. But Shizuo is just like... And he never gave me a reason to not like him. He just kept giving me reasons for him being a prick.
Yeah.
And I can't prove those reasons, but I know it was him. But yeah, Shizuo's the best. Simon is fun too. He's just a big guy that can go toe-to-toe with Shizuo, but doesn't like fighting and is constantly trying to get people to go to Russia sushi.
Fighting bad.
Van Gang, we mentioned them briefly, but we haven't talked about them individually. Right. So
briefly. Okay. We're reaching frag time.
Kyohei Kadota is the leader. Erica calls him Dota-jin. I think Izaya calls him Dota-jin too.
Okay.
I think Dota is part of his last name, Kadota.
Okay.
And I don't know what the Jin part is, but I'm sure it means something in Japanese.
Okay.
He doesn't like the nickname.
No.
He's always wearing a bandana around his head.
Okay.
He used to be in the Blue Squares until he learned that they were kidnapped a girl, breaking his leg. So then he rescued the girl and beat the crap out of them.
Became part of the Dollars.
Yep, joined the Dollars. And he's just, him and his friends, Saburo, Erica, and Walker, just kind of stroll around Ikebukuro in this van. Just like looking for...
Doing nerd shit.
Doing nerd shit and looking for trouble that they can go and rescue people for.
Yep.
And they're just spreading the good name of the Dollars is what they're doing. Erica and Walker are both fucking weebs.
Yep.
They have like cardboard cutouts of Holo, and they have a miniature of Taiga at one point, which I'm guessing they can do because it was the same studio that worked on them. And they were in the Blue Squares. I read a little bit about Walker and Erica. I didn't read any like spoilers for season 2, but it's just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that scene where they like told this guy they wanted to get information from to pick a manga, and then they were going to torture him based off of which manga he picked. And it's just like, yeah, apparently Walker kind of had a fucked up life before he fell in with the Van Gang. Mm-hmm. And Erica sort of has a twisted personality, which still shows from time to time, but puts it to good use with the Van Gang.
Yeah.
And Saburo drives the van. And gets angry sometimes when people like cut him off in traffic or nick his van
Yes.
And he also really loves that one guy that they go rescue at one point. The guy that you says is Chris Pratt.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name.
It's like Tommy or something.
But anyway, he's just like, oh yeah, Saburo really loves that guy. We're all friends with that guy, but that guy's like Saburo's best friend. So that's the Van Gang. They're just a chaotic force for good.
Yeah.
They're sort of in the know about things too. They are, because technically they've been in all three gangs.
Technically, yeah.
Because they just...
Wow.
They showed up at the Yellow Scarves wearing yellow scarves, pretending to be yellow scarves.
They weren't a part of the Yellow Scarves.
But they sort of were.
I guess.
But I think if you were to do a spin-off of the side characters, I think as much as we love Shizuo, I'd get bored of his thing. They basically have to treat him like an angry One Punch Man, which I don't think works in a large scale. Okay. Shizuo works because we get his shining moments and we're not with him 24/7. Though we do have an episode where we kind of explore his background and his relationship with his brother and stuff. I think the Van Gang would work as a spinoff. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I think this show we get the perfect amount of the side characters. Okay. That's my hot take.
I think there's a pitch you could do for Shizuo. I don't know if it would work.
I don't think it would work. I think I would get tired of Shizuo, which I don't want to do.
It would just be following him and Tom Tanaka as they try to collect debts.
Yes, Tom Tanaka. His job is he follows this one guy around collecting debts. Yes, because you don't fuck with Shizuo Heiwajima.
I think you could. I don't know how well it would work, but I think you could try it. Yeah. Something around like that.
Shizuo is sort of in the dollars. Where our theory is that he's accidentally in the dollars. I think Celty signed him up for the dollars and he doesn't realize it.
So why am I getting these texts?
Why does my phone keep blowing up? I don't give a shit! Then he's part of the Henri rescue mission at the very end. Because they're like, oh, fuck, Shizuo's here. Yep, we're leaving. We're good. We'll leave you alone. And then he just looks at Celty and is like, I'm going to turn my phone off for a while. Which makes me think that she's the one who pressured him to join or signed him up or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he realizes he's in the dollars. He's just like, why do these people keep messaging me? This must be Isaiah's fault!
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, there's lots of stuff I want to talk about. I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
Best girl other than Shizuo. Who's not a girl.
Celty. Probably Celty.
I like Henri. Don't get me wrong.
Henri would be second.
I like her, but she's not in the top characters.
Erica third?
Erica's second.
Ooh. Over Henri.
I think so. She's got a cool hat.
Okay. Well, in that case, Dota Chin's number one.
He just wears a bandana. The few times he takes it off, it's like, you look better with the bandana on. Why does your hair look like that? That's not how I expected you to look.
Okay, but Celty's number one?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to give it to the Doulahan.
You want to do any quick all aboards?
Okay. Yeah. We're going to do Mikado and Henri.
Mikado and Henri? Okay.
Celty and Shizuo.
Yeah, basic.
Celty and Shizuo.
Okay,
that was there's no romantic love. That's more of a friendship.
No, it's Isaiah and Shizuo.
Isaiah and Shizuo. I can't do it. Okay. I don't like Isaiah.
Walker and Erica. That one's kind of implied.
Yeah. Walker and Erica are they're the Isaac and Miria of this show, but they're not as good as Isaac and Miria. Okay. Is my take on Walker and Erica.
We're gonna do that one. That one's the ship of the show.
Walker and Erica? Sure. I think you're right there.
Alright, anything else?
No, I think... Oh, I do want to call out that at one point you called dibs of a doll of a high school girl. Because Taiga...
It was a reaction, alright?
A Taiga figure shows up. It wasn't... I think it was the right reaction. But keep in mind, that does not mean if we watch Toradora, you have dibs on Taiga.
I know.
You have dibs on that.
I know how dibs work. I have dibs on that figure during this watching of Durarara.
Yes. That's how it works. We're past frag time now. We're about 4 minutes past frag time. I think we can.
Okay.
I think we can end the show. I think we've talked enough about Durarara. I'm gonna watch the second. I'm gonna watch the second season.
Okay. Let me know how it goes.
Okay. I might turn it on afterward. Well, no, Brock will be here soon for Ghibli Night.
Mm-hmm.
Friend of the show. Brock.
That might be in the next episode.
Maybe. We've only got 2 Ghibli movies left to watch.
This comes out this week.
So we'd have to do Ghibli Night early next week so that we can record after it.
Okay.
We'll talk to Brock about it. Maybe we're doing our Ghibli retrospective.
Yeah.
After.
It's more, or as I like to call it, let's shit on Brock's taste.
Let's shit on Brock's taste because we're all have rankings of the Ghibli movies, and we're gonna see just how bad taste Brock actually had. We've gotten a few hints, and it's like there are some takes. Yep. There are some takes he's making that I appreciate him for making, but I would not take myself.
Okay. So yeah, look forward to that. If not the next episode, it'd be the following episode.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at anime_territory. Basically anywhere you can get podcasts. We're also on YouTube.
Yep. It's just anime space territory in those places. Send me a message on X/Twitter and I'll send you a sticker.
Yes, we have stickers if you want a sticker.
I've got so many stickers. I was going to give them to my nephews and nieces for Christmas and I forgot to. Wow. I forgot to include them in their gifts. So next Christmas they'll get 2.
Okay.
All right. Now, you are now leaving the anime territory.
Goodbye.